Is it helpful to know the different question types on the LSAT? Hey everyone, if you don't know me, my name's Jack and I scored a 170 on the LSAT, and here are my thoughts on question types. All right, so there's kind of two sides to this that I often see. I think there's a group of people that would say no, don't get to know them, it overcomplicates things. And then I think there's people that think it's helpful. And I tend to agree that it's helpful to know the different question types on the LSAT. And the reason I say this is honestly primarily just based on my own experience. I found it very helpful to know what the different question types were and what they mean when it came to test day. So one reason I found it helpful was I think because I kind of liked having that little bit of structure going into every question, where my first step was always to read the question stem and almost identify the question type. And this wasn't something that was taking a lot of time. It almost happened subconsciously once you kind of take enough tests. But I liked that because it was almost just a step that I could take every single question, like, okay, I've read the question stem, this is a weakening question. And then you go into the stimulus with some purpose. You can almost start solving it as you're reading. And not to say that you can't do this if you don't have this step where you're identifying the question type, but for me, I found it really helpful. The other reason why I liked having an understanding of the different question types was truthfully because when I started, I didn't always understand what exactly was being asked. But I found that as I learned what the question types were, and there's not that many, and by no means was I like memorizing question stems. It was more so just gaining a familiarity with what each one means. I found that once I did that, I just never ran into that issue like, oh, what is being asked here? Or like, what's the difference between a necessary and a sufficient assumption? Anything like that. So I think that for that reason as well, it can be really helpful. With all that said, if you've done well on the LSAT and you didn't learn question types, by all means, that's great. And not everybody will need to. But if you're starting out and you kind of are someone who maybe prefers to have a little bit more of a game plan or structure going into every question, I would recommend getting to know them. It really isn't hard or difficult. It doesn't take long at all. But I found it helpful when it came down to test day.